Hi everyone, Anthony Saitano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Garden album, Kiss My Super Boring! The Garden is a musical duo of California rock absurdists who broke pretty hard in 2013 off of making a big boy transition, getting their sophomore record onto EPITAPH. Haha was the title of that LP, which I still to this day continue to be somewhat torn on. I love the eccentricity, I love the weird attitude and lyrics, the experimental and noisy clashes of art rock and punk and electronic music and hip hop and everything in between. Also, there were tracks on this thing that I found to be pretty annoying. At times, it felt like the songwriting was even taking a back seat to how weird can we make this sound or how obnoxious can this possibly be? But still, having said that, I guess I respect what the Garden does a lot more than your average beach rock band or Mac DeMarco ripoff. They are sounding pretty daring, even if a lot of the time I feel like it's not for me personally. So they followed this record up a few years later with Mirror Might Steal Your Charm, an album that, for the most part, felt like yet another helping of all of the ideas and concepts that made Haha so difficult to like. But now it's a new decade. I'm hoping that this new Garden album charms me, hoping the duo can really click with me this time, especially since Kiss My Super Bowl Ring is shaping up to be their most well-received record yet. And for sure, I do hear some slight improvements on this thing on the production end. Also, some of the songs here seem relatively focused. And I like how DIY every corner of this LP comes off. In a way, I think the sound of this record is perfectly embodied by the cover art it is attached to. We have this cartoony logo right up front that not only features spider webs on it, but it looks like a parody of a graffiti tag. In the back, an image of absolutely filthy, a disgusting pile of empty bottles just staring at this image. I get this potent, very pungent smell of flat corn syrup and warm beer in my nose, and it makes me want to throw up. And then smack dab in the middle, we have what would be the crown jewel of any LARPers or cosplayers' weaponry collection. Very out of place, not sure why it's there, but it is a statement. Like with the Garden's past efforts, the music here features garish juxtapositions of aesthetic and style, but now they're working off a slightly different list of influences and sounds like trap and alternative rock, grindcore and noise rock, rap rock, even a few tracks that seem like overt nods to The Prodigy, like the track Hit Eject, which again, the distorted bustling beats as well as the somewhat rapped vocals on this song, Prodigy all the way. But the tone and almost the humor of the lyrics and the satire coming out of them too, it's almost Zappa-esque as well. So of course, all these ideas and sounds are presented throughout this record with maximum separation and contrast. As the Garden shifts gears, changes sounds, they really, really, really want you to feel it every time. Like on the opener, Clenched to Stay Awake, the only thing I can truly say about this is that I am in awe at just how little these guys give a shit. They really could not care less between the temper tantrum style screams they put over a few points here, along with the weird assembly of aggressively panned synthetic pieces of percussion placed almost randomly in some parts. It's a very novel combo. However, I still can't help but feel like the dejected alt-rock passages that kick the song off are kind of boring. Also, the zany, throaty, kind of pop-punk vocal affectation that's used in the middle of the song is just too annoying for words. It was an issue that I had on previous records as well. With the following a struggle, I have to admit, grinding, spazzy noise rock passages contrasting with dreary folk bits that sound like something out of a grizzly bear song is not something I would have thought of coming together in my wildest dreams. I also didn't think the track would turn into a dreamy, synthetic piece of pop punk either, but here we are, and it's actually sounding pretty good. On this track, and even the opener too, it does sound like there is a bit more method to the Garden's madness this time around. Especially with the title track on the album, which is one of the more low-key moments here, and doesn't seem as concerned with trying to impress the listener with any weird, sudden changes in any direction. We get a lot of sad guitars, a lot of tense, speedy beats, and a pretty focused song topic, essentially conveying to the listener this message of, if you're this, if you're that, if you're another thing, kiss my Super Bowl ring, which my read of is pretty simple. It just seems like an elaborate way to say fuck off or know your place, which, given the Garden's general attitude, is a sentiment that many songs on this album can be boiled down to. I mean, the closing track on here is literally titled Please Fuck Off. And surprisingly, there are more moments following this one that feature not just coherent songs, but song topics, like AMPM Truck, which sounds like a really noisy and irreverent piece of ska punk, but it's actually a song of regret when you dig deeper into the lyrics, which seem to tell a tale of just a brush with death. And one more highlight on the album for me was the track King of Cutting Corners, which is a hilarious and noisy punk song that is what the title says it is. It's just a funny character portrait of someone who takes pride in their ability to cut corners, get things done earlier. However, I didn't really expect any consistency going into this record, and neither should you, because the Garden is still relatively obsessed with this idea of just presenting so much contrast, so much change across the record that there is little attention paid to the macro picture of the entire album, outside of everything just always shifting in a different direction every few moments or so. However, that doesn't ruin my enjoyment of the album as much as just the songs that are the most obnoxious, like the track Sneaky Little Devil, which features some brash, semi-cringy rap verses set to breakbeats, somewhat distorted mix, very freakish screams at a few points too. I can't wait for it to be over. Actually, nearly every rap verse on this project is like a low point on it. The initial moments of Fool's Expedition, despite the last leg of the song being so good, or the track Lurkin as well. Now, mind you, I do love the song's message of not wanting to be some asshole that is desperate to climb up a shitty social ladder. But the beat and the raps on this song sound like mindless self-indulgence, but worse, and without the excuse of, hey, you know what, it was the 2000s. I have a harder time being complimentary toward the track Lowrider Slug, even though it features Ariel Pink, which, by the way, is a crossover that totally makes sense. But many portions of this song are just like a stale piece of alt-rock, with super spazzy transitions of vocals and bass and drums that, I don't know, don't seem like that big of a payoff, especially since they're equally noisy bits earlier on the record serving pretty much the same purpose. Ariel's appearance on the track leaves a lot to be desired too. So overall, even though I'm not crazy about this record, I still to this day cannot call myself a Garden fan. I will say this is the closest I've come to actually loving one of their records. Still, I found many parts of this record to be underwritten and irritating, but I suppose the more creative song topics and coherent song structures, as well as interesting clashes of genres and ideas, did take the edge off of that a little bit. So while I sort of get the hype behind the Garden at this moment, I'm still not entirely convinced that the duo isn't just taking the piss 99% of the time, or that they're just not, I don't know, with their music creating some elaborate joke that I'm not entirely in on. But having said that, I do respect the very left field and just fuck anyone who doesn't like it attitude the duo brings to the table. Feeling a light to decent 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, The Garden, Kiss My Super Bowl Ring, forever.